So I thought I'd do a little video on my Cannondale CAAD 10, as I refer to it in some of my other videos, and I haven't actually had a look at it yet on the channel. So just have a real quick look next to the TCR over there. I absolutely love this bike. I bought it second hand off eBay as a frame set and just built it up, different parts, changing parts here and there. Use it for pretty much anything. Done criteriums on it. I've done 300-kilometer Audaxes on it, put luggage bags on it, lights, anything. It does everything, this bike. And I love the fact it's aluminium. So yeah, let's just have a look at some of the parts I've got in, how I've built it up and what it's like to ride. First of all, the geometry. I mean, it's fairly aggressive geometry. It's quite low at the front. It's quite long. It's not as long as the TCR in the same size. But yeah, it's horizontal top tube and a short head tube. Obviously completely different geometry to a total, a compact road bike like the TCR. Really, really nice finish on it. Got sort of the raw lacquered aluminium. Just wait for that focus. And then a decal and a sort of metallic black with quite a lot of gloss on it. Got a full carbon fork with a carbon steerer and carbon dropouts, I believe, on this as well. So there's not much standard about this bike. I've got all different parts on it. Changed it quite a lot over the years. I've had it about 2 or 3 years. And I'm pretty happy with the spec now. I've got it. Like I say, I've done crits and really long rides and training through the winter. It does everything. I've travelled with it. I've been to the Middle East. I've been to the Mediterranean with it. It's just a really, really nice bike. And the thing with aluminium is it's quite obvious if it gets damaged in transport as well. So I prefer to travel with this than a carbon bike. So let's just look at the bits I've got in it. Let's start at the front. It's a bit of a mongrel. So I've got a Shimano group set, which I've gone for Ultegra front and rear mechs. But you might notice I've got SRAM red brakes. They came up on eBay brand new as a bargain, so I went for them. They got a very similar, if not the same, lever ratio to a Dura Ace or an Ultegra caliper, so they work absolutely fine with Ultegra shifters. So the Ultegra shifters up top. I've got the Ultegra shifters wound out with the adjuster screw quite a lot. I wouldn't say I've got small hands, but I like to have them close to the drops when descending. I hate having to feel that my finger's not going to get round the lever if I need to get the brakes quickly, so I wind that screw in just to set them up a bit closer. You also might have noticed that on the end of the lever. That is not scratched, it's not damaged. That's something I've actually done on purpose. That is a silicone, like a silicone Loctite, almost like a gasket Loctite. It's like silicone rubber basically. Silicone rubber I put on there, and that is for the winter. So a lot of big bulky winter gloves don't really give good grip on these very glossy shiny levers. So if you put a little bit of silicone on the end of the lever, just where your finger gets it, it's so much easier to grip with a glove. Just makes descending in the winter with gloves on much, much nicer, I find. It's a good little tip. I haven't seen anyone else do that, but it works for me. So then bar, I've just got a really, really standard FS8 Omega compact bar. Retails for about £25 in the UK. Really compact shape, really short reach and a very tight drop. And not the lightest bar, but really stiff as well. It's very stiff because it doesn't flatten off, it's round all the way, so it makes quite a stiff bar. So when you're out the saddle, it makes the bike feel very responsive. That is a 44 width, but on the tops where the hoods are, it's about 42 because it flares out underneath, so 44 in the drops, 42 on the tops. That's just how I like it. Another bit of a bargain find was this Pro PLT stem. That's 120mm long. That was a bit of a bargain. It's quite light. It's a nice shape as well. It's quite stiff. And it just suits the black and silver of the bike. So I've got a mix of sort of Shimano and Jaguar cables. I don't really like Jaguar, but they'll do. I've got a barrel adjuster. Put a barrel adjuster in for the front mech. Wheels on here are actually the Giant full carbon clincher off my TCR. So I'm using my TCR a lot in the winter, so I've got some aluminium rims over there at the moment. H Plus on with Bitex hub on the TCR, and I've just got the carbon clinchers on the Cannondale, which I haven't been riding that much. These are tubeless with sealant in. Not the best of tyres. I've fallen off on these tyres. I'm not blaming the tyres, but I don't know. They're nice because they're tubeless. It's a good idea, but if I was going to use them a lot, I'd probably stick a Conti or a Schwalbe tyre on there, or even Vittoria for the winter, something like a Pave. Got the lizard skin thick bar tape on there. Put that on when I did the Audax just for a bit more comfort, which I really like that. It makes it really nice to use without gloves. It's got some old Tax bottle cages. They are aluminium with sort of hard plastic inserts. I don't really like these, to be honest. They don't grip all sizes of bottles very well, and you can't bend them inwards easily. But they'll do. What else we got on here? So we've got a Thompson Elite 27.2 seat post, which isn't the lightest, and it's not the most comfortable. It's very stiff front to back, but I wanted it because it's got a straight up, no offset on there, which I like because I don't like the bike being too long. And yeah, okay, I could shorten out with stem length, but the most important thing is your sort of pedalling mechanics. So if you've got too much of a layback and you can't get your pedalling mechanics right, stem length isn't going to help you. So first of all, you need to get your sort of knee position correct. Saddle, I've got actually a Giant Contact SL saddle, I think, which I took off the TCR. So yeah, it's a bit of a mongrel. It's got parts from all over, but I do like that saddle. It's a bit like a Physique Antares, but not quite as hard. So moving down, obviously got another SRAM red caliper on there. Odd green cable, Shimano cable that I had lying around. Do really like these SRAM calipers. They're very light, but you do need a 13mm spanner to set them up because they float on a spring like that. You can't just twist the caliper into position, so you need a 13mm spanner on these flats here just to center it. But the good thing about them floating on that spring is that if your wheel does flex side to side, the caliper can't resist the flex and rub too much. It will just move. So we all know the wheel flexes when you're sprinting and stuff and climbing. It's also got the rear wheel from the Giant, the SLR1. Short cage Ultegra rear mech. Can't really go wrong with Ultegra. And then you've got a 1128 block on the back, which does me for everything. Dura Ace chain, one of the only things I can treat myself with, which is Dura Ace, because the chain's really not that expensive for Dura Ace, and why not have the best if it's only £10 or £15 more. I don't know if it makes much of a difference, but it's a bit lighter than the Ultegra chain. Shifts really well, much better than any KMC chain, which you get on TCR. These are really old rotor cranks. These are BB30. I can't remember exactly which rotors these are. I think 3D Plus maybe, but they were the top end ones when they came out. Ultegra front mech. So yeah, this is a BB30 bike, which has got a standard 68mm road shell. Now the new Cannondale's I think BB30A, which makes it 5mm wider on the non-drive side, meaning you can only use Cannondale cranks or some sort of adapter. But with the standard BB30, you can pretty much use any crankset you want, so long as you've got, you know, the right adapter. So this is standard rotor cone spacer. I think it's 11mm on that side, and then I've got another one in there on the drive side. And then apart from that, all you need is the bearing covers and I've got a little nylon washer in between the preloader and the cone spacer just to stop any squeaking when it gets dry. That's about it really. SRAM Garmin mount just because I had it lying around. But as a do-it-all bike, I really like this bike. I'm not going to get rid of this. I sort of come and go with carbon bikes and what I like, but this I've liked all the time. Still like the new TCR, but does everything really well. It just doesn't seem to have that much character compared to the Cannondale. You know, it's as stiff laterally and it's more comfortable, you know, vertically, but being so stiff, the CAAD 10 just feels like it's got more of a personality. It's more alive. It's slightly heavier, but the weight difference between these two bikes as they are now is probably only about 500 grams. So you got the old Tegra chainset on TCR is a bit heavier than the rotor. Durace chain's pretty light. Obviously the wheels I've got on there, the composite wheels, are a little bit lighter than the wheels I've got on here, probably about 100 grams for the wheel set. Bar and stem combo is actually probably a bit lighter than the standard giant bars, although they are nice. These bars on the top are quite flat, makes them a little bit flexible, so the front end of the TCR doesn't feel as responsive and stiff as the front end of the CAAD 10. But that's mainly to do with the bars and stem, because they've both got quite a short head tube for the size of bike. There we go. Any more questions, things you want to see, let me know.